open. It's not anything farther than that. They'll have their convention in early May, and at that convention they will decide who's going to be their candidate for the 2012 election.
Jesse, thank you so much.
Okay, Alex.
All right, Aaron Dykes is riding shotgun with us, and I really appreciate him joining us today as I'm here on the road. We're going to have Mike Adams hosting Infowars Nightly News tonight, 7 o'clock. Aaron Dykes is back tomorrow. I've got so much incredible video and discoveries on our little week-long trip out west. I'll obviously be back Wednesday, but Mike Adams is doing the show that day, and I'll be back live Friday after Thanksgiving. For the next 30 minutes, we're joined by the one, the only Max Keiser, and we'll get some questions and analysis from Aaron here as well. But I remember Max Keiser a year ago saying that if we drive up gold to 2,500, they won't be able to deliver. We drive up silver past, I forget what he said, 54 or something. They won't be able to deliver, and we'll call them on it. Well, now MF Global, we're learning it's first 600 million, then 700 million, then a billion, then $1.2 billion. Now it's more than $1.2 billion, CNN reports, is gone. They've gone bankrupt for $6.4 billion. They can't find over $1.2 billion, and they've announced that Corzine is just allowed basically to keep it. They say, don't worry about where it's at. That's the way it is. And now Celente is being attacked by the head of the CME Group, one of the biggest derivatives outfits that claims they have $800 trillion. I've got Forbes attacking me and saying it's all my fault that the economy's down, talking about CME and all this. This is bizarre, Max Keiser. We're going to come back and recap all this when we start the next segment, but I tell you, Max, it's getting a little creepy when I got the New York Times saying I'm responsible for the guy shooting up the White House with no proof. And also now Forbes saying, headline, talk show host Alex Jones and guest are causing bank runs, basically, because, you know, they are admitting now that the markets are going down and stuff, especially in derivatives, because nobody trusted because of MF Global. So now it's not their fault for taking all the money. Max, it's my fault and Gerald Celente's. What do you think of that, Max Keiser?
Alex, where are you calling from?
I'm calling from Utah. I'm hiding out from...
Yeah, I did... Okay, it sounded like this was your one call that they gave you, and you were in prison or something, and you called me. Well, thank you so much for calling me with your one call. But the MF Global, of course, is just the continuation of what we have been witnessing. But instead of using derivatives to steal money, they just are taking it out of people's accounts. Now, the news that just hit the wire just a few minutes ago is that the bankruptcy proceedings have just disclosed that they've run out of money in terms of what they can return to people, to customers. And they can only return maybe 50 or 60% of customer money, but I'm sure that number will go down again. And I'm sure customers will be lucky to get 10 or 20 cents on the dollar. Now, it's important to remember that a similar situation just happened in China last week. Somebody caught stealing money, conducting a Ponzi scheme, falsifying documents as Corzine has falsified documents. And the Chinese government executed the banker. They executed the banker dead. So the Chinese government gets it. The only way to stop these guys is you've got to kill them. Now, in America, they haven't figured that out yet, and they're just going to keep coming with their larcenistic Ponzi schemes until all the money's gone. So until America gets as smartens up like China already has, expect more of the same, Alex.
Max Keiser joining us from Paris. Again, I'm joining you from Monument Valley, Utah. MF Global Trustee says shortfall could exceed $1.2 billion. That's New York Times. Here's Reuters. MF Global Trustee says shortfall may be bigger. Here's Wall Street Journal. MF doubles estimate of missing funds. They're going to double it again. And they're telling Celente and others they're not getting jack diddly squat back. We'll be right back with Max Keiser at MaxKeiser.com. I'm Alex Jones of Infowars.com. Keiser comes to us from Paris, France. I'm coming to you from southern Utah, right on the Arizona border, Monument Valley. I'm here really shooting footage for upcoming film and also doing research. Got a whole bunch of videos I'm going to upload, more than 20 of them, to Infowars.com and Prisonplanet.tv in the next few days as soon as I get back to civilization. But I do enjoy it out here. I know why this was the favorite stomping ground of many out west of John Wayne. In fact, the little lodge I'm staying in is where John Wayne stayed quite a bit of the time, not just when he was shooting more than 10 films out here. Folks, Max Keiser a year ago said that if gold went up to a certain point, I think he said $2,500, silver, what did he say, $54 an ounce, if they went up to that point, it would force the naked shorting by the big brokerage firms to be pushed to the surface. They wouldn't be able to deliver, and it would bankrupt them. But now what they've done is the internal bank run, grabbing sequestered, private, what's the proper term, segregated accounts, which is illegal. Now, a week and a half ago, the head of the Securities and the CFTC came out and said, I'm going to have to recuse myself from this investigation. I'm involved with MF Global and Corzine and Goldman Sachs. And then they said that $600 million of the billion missing had gone to J.P. Morgan. Now they say, well, first they were saying this is obviously illegal. This is wrong. You can't grab private accounts in a bankruptcy. Now they're just saying, forget about it. It's $1.2 billion or more. And that's the end of it. And some of you might get 50-60%. Others, like Gerald Celente, who'd been trading with the one firm for close to 30 years that MF Global had gobbled up, they just took the money he had in his account that he was taking December delivery on. Now, that's his account to basically engage in futures trading. But that's the money he's put in. It's the equivalent of coming in somebody's house and stealing money out of their safe or stealing somebody's car. But because it's done in a legalese way and by the ruling class banksters, it's A-okay. Now, it's destroyed confidence. It's caused the markets to go down. It's caused the future markets to go down. Max Keiser, and these are the kind of guests we have on over and over again, the people that are right, the people that have foresight, the people that really have full spectrum analysis. Max Keiser has stunningly broken down so much of this. Now it's happening, but we're seeing something really creepy. Forbes has come out, headline, talk show host Alex Jones and guest call for run on banks. No, what we said last week was that if they continue to steal people's money, it's going to destroy confidence and cause a run on the bank because of their internal runs. Now, the head of the CME group has come out and attacked Celente viciously. It's getting really creepy. Celente says most of what he's gotten is warnings about midnight raids or 3 a.m. raids, but also some threats. The New York Times has come out and accused me, an Obama deception, my film, of causing the guy to shoot the White House. So they're clearly coming after us. They're clearly concerned. So I want to ask Max Keiser, what's happening here? What does this signify? And are they doing this because they're desperate? I mean, they can always come up with $1.2 billion of made-up cash. They've got trillions in citizen bailout that we gave them. Why don't they at least give cash back? Again, it's the people with gold accounts they're seizing. Is it because they can't deliver? And why would they do something this reckless, endangering their entire derivatives bubble even more? Or is that part of the financial terrorism where they're ready for the next level of bloodletting? That's my breakdown with retired top trader Max Keiser, inventor of the Hollywood Stock Exchange virtual trading system. Max, break down how big this is.
Well, it's a question of momentum, and MF Global was on the 50th floor of the World Trade Tower of fraud that's collapsing on everyone's net worth, and you had another 60 or 70 stores above it that's collapsing and falling in. All the sovereign debt's collapsing, all the major balance sheets of all the biggest banks are collapsing, and MF Global is collateral damage. That's collapsing. There's another brokerage firm called Jefferies, which is just now collapsing. If you do a search for Jefferies, you'll find out that now this is teetering on bankruptcy. Now, with the MF Global, and with Gerald Celente, of course, famously is gotten stung by this. I mean, when you think about it, the monthly statements sent to him and all the customers of all the brokerage accounts that are related to MF Global, those are falsified documents because those monthly statements do not represent the truth in any way, which means that nobody should have any trust in any of the brokerage statements they get from Merrill Lynch or they get from any brokerage on Wall Street or any bank statement.
It's all Bernie Madoff.
Well, Bernie Madoff at least had the courtesy of running a Ponzi scheme. This is just outright theft. This is when you go into an account that's supposed to be segregated, that is the customer's account itself, and you just take the money out. That's like I rob your house and steal your money. That's not even the elegance of a Ponzi scheme or a derivative contract sold that doesn't exist. I mean, these things really look like. I'll give you a very interesting thing I found when I just came back from London, and I was handed in a cab a £5 note from the Royal Bank of Scotland, and I then tried to spend this at a pub. And then I was told that this is no good. This Royal Bank of Scotland note is no good. It turns out that the money printed in Scotland is not. It's only accepted in England if both parties agree to accept it. Now that's very interesting because, in other words, you think it's money, but it's only money if both parties agree to accept it. So it's not really money. It's a receipt of a possibility of money. And this is what the U.S. dollar is. The U.S. dollar itself is only good if two people agree to accept it. But if you don't agree to accept it, it has zero worth. And that's now what people are understanding about the banking system, about MF Global, about Merrill Lynch, about Goldman Sachs, about J.P. Morgan. The documents, the monthly statements that you get in the mail from these guys every single month are complete lies. It's false. If you call up the bank and you ask for the CUSIP number of the securities that are supposed to be representative in that account, they can't give it to you because they don't exist. It's complete forgery. When I was working on Wall Street, we used to forge documents all the time, account forms, transfer forms, and this type of stuff. But this is that's really just penny ante stuff compared to actually wholesale sending out falsified monthly statements. You'd have to go back to some of the small-timers like D.H. Blair and other chop shops on Wall Street that were engaged in this type of bucket shop activity where they sell junk over the phone, they send out false documents. You'd have to go back to the 1920s to find this level of fraud. And, of course, all the rules that came in during the 30s to put an end to this have been regulated out of existence. So we're back to the 1920s bucket shop. Merrill Lynch is a bucket shop. J.P. Morgan is a bucket shop. Goldman Sachs are a bucket shop. And the name bucket shop comes from the fact that you had a room full of guys on telephones, and so that they didn't disturb each other, they wore buckets on their heads. And this became known as the bucket shop. And this is the history of false selling on Wall Street, and it's come full circle. Now we're back to the worst excesses of the worst bucket shop and Ponzi scheme dealers of the 1920s. And, of course, getting to gold and silver, J.P. Morgan, to defend their silver short position, they've had to totally obliterate their balance sheet. J.P. Morgan is insolvent. And one day it'll go like MF Global. They'll say, you know what? One day it'll be worth $140 billion. The next day it'll be worth nothing, and it'll just go down like that. All the accounts are uninsured. None of the accounts are insured because there's no money to back any of those accounts that's worth anything that anyone's going to honor for any transaction outside of two people who are both severely brain damaged and on drugs would take anything resembling a U.S. dollar, collateralize a bank account from J.P. Morgan. So you basically have to come to terms with the fact that unless you have gold and silver, you have absolutely no money whatsoever. At any given day, you can be an MF Global customer. You can wake up and they simply say, that money is absolutely worthless. It's coming anyway. You know it. We've been talking about this.
Well, Max, let me stop you there because I've got to interject this, and I hope we can hold you a little bit longer than 30 minutes. I know you're very busy. We also have Aaron Dykes riding shotgun there at the network, so I want to pop in with some questions. But I understand this is premeditated. They set up the police state to get away with it, but it looks like they've been too greedy. I mean, this is endangering their entire system. Was this done, the looting of the accounts, out of desperation, or is it just a new trial balloon? What's your gut on this?
Well, the Corzine came into MF Global. He wanted to create this really big firm to compete with his old. He used to be the CEO of Goldman Sachs. And he came in and he leveraged the company from maybe 10 or 15 to 1. He leveraged it at 100 to 1 by buying sovereign debt in Europe.